Hi friends, welcome to TechHarvesting. In today's video, we're going to have a look at how we can implement routing in a React Native application made using Expo with the help of the Expo Router library. So with the Expo Router library, we'll be able to implement file-based routing in a React Native application, which is very useful and way easier than implementing the normal type of routing with the help of another package like React Native Router or something. Now, this is also easier to use when compared to other libraries, and it also offers a lot of options like tabs, which you can also have a look at after going ahead and learn the basics of this library. Also, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and give a like to this video if you found it helpful. Without further ado, let's get started. So to get started, you can go ahead and create an empty Expo application using the create Expo app command. And I've used TypeScript, so you can pass -t and probably give a template. So there is a template that comes with the navigation. So this is with the file-based routing, which is our Expo router enabled. But for now, I'm going to create a blank app and implement navigation within it completely from scratch. So I have already created an app here, and you can come here to the expo.dev documentation and have a look at how you can install the Expo router and set it up. So if you go here to this page, I'll link it down in the description. Just scroll down and install it manually. So there are all these packages that you'll need to install. Obviously, since I just created the application, I'm having SDK50 above, so you can just go to the package.json, scroll down to export, and you can see the version. So we can go ahead and run this command. It will install all the required packages, and the next step is to set up an entry point. So just like how we have main filling a package.json file while producing while creating, for example, any packages, so you have the index.js or something like that. For now, in this app, you'll need to pass as expo-router/entry, so it'll default it to the default entry file in our application. So we can do that in the main. You can go here and replace this line. Next, you can come back here and scroll all the way down, because you're not looking at web. So if you want to publish your application to web also, you can just go and complete these steps. So once you're done with that, you can modify the Babel config. By default, this is what we get, so I'm not going to do anything there either. And that's basically it. Now we can go ahead and set up Expo router in the application once the installation is all done. So you can fire the simulator or the Android emulator if you are developing on Android. So once you've done that, obviously you can do yarn expo run and choose iOS or Android depending on where you want to develop this for. So that should be it, and I'll be back once it's done. So once that's done, your simulator should open and come up with this screen. So it tells us to create an app/index.js. So that's what we're going to be doing, because this file is no longer needed, as Expo router automatically tells us to create our app folder. Now, if you don't know, Expo router is based on file-based routing. So you create your file structure, and according to that, the routes will be mapped. It's very similar to Next.js 14 now routing, and yeah, that's what we are doing here. So we are going to create our app folder and create an index.tsx file. Now in here, I'm basically going to copy everything from our app.tsx and paste it in here, and we can remove our app.tsx file too. So if we are going back here, as you can see, it shows up our default page and it's working fine. So let's go with a small theme of like an authentication system, so we can have a login page, and we can redirect our user from home to login, and then from there maybe to a user page where we have a slug in the URL, and we can also have a look at how that works. So for that, we should go ahead and import the link component from React router, so Expo router in this case. So link from Expo router, and in here we can probably give a link tag and place this inside. So here, just like the web, we pass in href and we're gonna give in the address. So for now I'm gonna give a page like /login, and here we can remove that, and now we can go ahead and create a login page. So here we can give login /index.tsx. So in this login page you can have multiple routes, and index.tsx is one of them. So once again I'm gonna paste same thing here and change the text here to welcome to the login page, and probably have a link down here to go back home. So we can pass the href here to our home. So href equals /. So now if we go into our simulator and click on this, it takes us to a login page, and if you click back here it comes back to the home page. So probably change this text back to login, and so that's working. So we have created a route and we are able to transform our page or redirect our user to the route and come back to the home screen. So that's just the basic routing. So next let's have a look at how we can go ahead and add a slug to the URL. So if you don't know what slugs are, it's basically like you give a unique ID or something in the URL, and it gets the parameters passed in the URL into your application. You might have seen it in a lot of places like Twitter, where you give twitter.com/username, and that username, the details is fetched from the database and displayed on the screen. So let's go ahead and create a new folder called user and create square brackets id.tsx. I'll tell you how this works, but for now let's go ahead and do what we did previously. So I'll just paste in this and change this onto user page. Now for getting the slug from the URL, we are going to use a hook called use local search params from Expo Router. So const params equals use local search params Expo Router. Now that will give us access to all the parameters, and for example we can do json.stringify params. So for now we can just display the parameters there. So in order to get to this page, we can go ahead and create a link here with the text go to user1, and you can give /user/1, and probably create one more link for user2 so that we can test if it's actually working. There you go. So now if we go ahead onto our simulator, we have our login page, and here if we click on go to user1, we can see that there's a problem. That's because I didn't pass it inside the text component. So text, and we can put this inside. Now if we go back, login user1, we can see we're getting id1, and we should create a link to go backwards. So probably in our user page, in our id, we can go here and give a link href equals /login, and we can give here the text back to login page. So if you come back here, we have login user1, we come here, go back user2, we get that details here. So if you want, we can also go here and probably change this to params.id. Now this id is what we are going to give the name here. So if this was user id.tsx, then here we would have to pass in the data as user id. So we can also destructure this and pass in generic type here if you want to. For now I'm not doing anything, but if you want to, you can go ahead and pass in a generic like id string, like that. So then we'll be able to get the id as a string. You know what, let's just leave it like that. And so here you can also destructure it if you want. I'm just leaving it like this over here. Next, let's also have a look at the layout route. Now this is basically like if you're using Next.js, in that also you have the layout route, which wraps all of your routes. So your entire application is wrapped inside the layout route, and let's also have a look at how we can do that. So for that, in your app folder, you go ahead and create a file called underscore layout.tsx, and in here you can create a basic component, or you can directly copy this from here. So again, link to this documentation is in the description. Go ahead and copy this, and the slot component basically plays your and displays your entire application. So that's what it is, and if you want, you can wrap it inside something so you can have something else around it. For example, if you want some text here like hello, and if you go back to your application, seems like I import text, so import text from React Native, and you can see here the text is displayed. It's out of the screen, but it's still there. So wherever we go, whichever page, it's displayed there. So that's a part of the layout. So we don't need that right now, but one thing you can do with the layout file is create a stack. So right now, if you see, we are clicking this and you're directly redirecting the user to a page, but there's nothing like an animation, or it's not like adding the page to the routes. Like, so if you want to do all that, you'll need a stack. So for stacks, you can go here to the Expo documentation, search for stack, and so in here you can scroll down and probably copy one of these. So you can copy the entire file because we don't need any of these now. So we can replace that, and here we have to give the name of a route, and we can pass in options too. Now this is the header styles, so if you want to, you can change them. For now, I'm going to remove all these because we're not planning on modifying the header, but yeah. So for the first one, we are going to give the name as index because that's what the name of our file is, and the next route is going to be /user/id, and the other route is our login route. So now if you come back here, you'll see a difference. You can see the name over here, so you have the name on top of the page. Click on login, you can see that login/index, the name of the route is displayed there. So for now, if you want, we can go ahead and change the name too. So in this options object, you can give the title as home, and if you come back here, you can see the title is home. Similarly, you can give titles to all these pages and it should work out fine. The main advantage of doing this is the animation that you get. So if you come back here, you can see we have the animation played here. It's a slide animation, and here you get the back button so you can go back home. This is better than directly pushing the router to a particular page and not being able to go back. So that was it for this video. We had a look at how we can use the Expo Router library and implement a basic routing system in a React Native app. You can also take this to the next level by adding tabs and other features. You can obviously refer the documentation. Everything is noted there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.